Date night conspiracy. Oh, no, I can't say that word. Can't say that word that early in the podcast. Date night news. Hello. And she was asked, why do I like to see your hands? Do it? Because now you're like Dr. Claw. Can
I have a cat?
No. I'm allergic to cats.
I like cats.
You guys know what this is? Date night news. Bringing you alternative news and weird stories. We're getting right into it. We got 2 clips from the Joe Rogan podcast about near-death experiences. And we got the lovely lady here, Mrs. Coach Colin, giving you all the notes that she's taken on near-death experiences as well. Let's get right into it. How you been, honey?
Oh, good. How are you?
I know how you've been. We've been together all day.
Yeah.
We went to church.
Yeah. We went to a birthday party.
Went to a birthday party after. My friend.
I had some ice cream.
We did not sign his book.
Oh, no.
We forgot about that. We have to do that at some point. Hopefully we can get out there next Sunday.
Yeah.
I feel good.
Good.
Near-death experiences.
Yeah.
Just watching the clip that I found actually made me it makes me want to lose weight. It makes me want to get in shape. They're scary. I don't want to pass away. I don't want to have a near-death experience. It seems like people always need near-death experiences to get their life together. And I don't want to have to do that, you know?
Yeah.
Right?
Do you want to watch that clip first?
You want to go to those clips?
Yeah, might as well.
We'll go to this first clip.
Okay, we'll watch that one first.
This is Sebastian Junger. Now, if you don't know who Sebastian is, he is I want to say Navy SEAL. He wrote a book called Tribe, where he talks about how the thing that's missing in people's lives, or he talks about the dynamic of when guys come back from combat, they feel a longing to go back, but it's because of the camaraderie and the brotherhood and knowing who is willing to die for you. And how when you come back to, regular life, you have no idea who that is. It's like people say they're your friends, but it's like, will they get shot for you a bunch of times, like trying to save you? And it's like, probably not, right? So when they're over there in battle, they know for sure. They know who to risk their life for, and they know who will risk their lives for them, and that's why they always want to go back. And that's why they recant it. Or sorry, that's the wrong word. That's why they retell it as like some of the best times in their life.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. Jocko Willink, he's a ex-Navy. I shouldn't say ex. I'm not sure if he's still active, but he talks about it too. He's like, best time of my life was being at war.
Wow.
Being with the guys, getting shot at, like best time of his life.
That's
but this clip we're about to hear about is Sebastian talking about he had I think it was a tumor or a cyst, pancreatic one. It burst. He lost 90% of his blood, and he almost died on his driveway in front of his 2 daughters and his wife. So we're going to hear that right now. Let's get into it.
I don't even think the doctors understand it, but by a miracle, I was still alive when I got to the hospital. I lost 90% of my blood into my abdomen. I didn't know I was dying, but I was dying, and I was right in that sort of twilight zone. And a black pit opened up underneath me, and I felt myself starting to get pulled down into it, and I didn't want to go. Like, it was cold and dark and black and bottomless, and I just knew, like, do not go down there. I was getting pulled down into it, and right at that moment, my father, who passed away in 2012, my father sort of appeared next to me and started trying to communicate with me and comforting me, and I sort of waved him away, and the last thing I remember saying to the doctor, I was sort of losing consciousness, and the last thing I said to the doctor was, "You're losing me right now. You got to hurry." He was trying to he'd cut my neck open. He was trying to put a line into my neck to, they pumped 10 units of blood into me, and that's what brought me back. It was really close.
Wow. When you say you felt like you were sinking into a pit, like, were you seeing this?
I mean, your perceptions are very weird because very little oxygen in the brain. I had a hemoglobin count of 1.2. If you're a doctor, you know what that is. It's almost unheard of. And so I just felt this pit underneath me, and it was pulling me into it, and I didn't want to go.
And you can see a pit?
Again, see/feel, your perceptions are very weird when you're like that. And then my father also was sort of floating above me. He was a presence. I don't know if seeing him is quite the word. It's another perception.
Wow.
Yeah.
So coming out of that, once you regained your health, you must have had an incredible newfound appreciation for all the people in your life and just everything.
It was a long path. You know, I mean, I'm a really healthy guy. Later, the doctor said, you know, I was a marathon runner when I was young, and I don't drink. I'm athletic, and I use my body pretty vigorously. And he said that saved your life. Like, you didn't have a heart attack. Like, you owe your life to that. And,
Oh, wow.
But the next morning, you know, I didn't know that I'd almost died. I had no idea. I have 2 little girls. I have a 4-year-old and a 1.5-year-old, and they're the most precious things to me. I mean, I can't even describe it, obviously. And the fact that they almost lost their dad was just devastating when the ICU nurse came in and said, "How are you doing, Mr. Junger? You're one lucky guy. You almost died yesterday." I had no idea. And then she came back an hour later, and she said, "How are you doing?" And I said, "You know, physically, I was throwing up blood. I was not doing very well physically, but I said I was. I said, but you know, I'm really struggling with what you told me, and it's really terrifying. I didn't know." And I mean, I said, I almost died in my own driveway in front of my family, and I didn't even know. Like, and I said, I keep thinking about it. I can't stop. And she said, one of the wisest things I've ever heard. She said, stop thinking of that moment as scary and start thinking of it as sacred. And she didn't elaborate. She didn't need to. And the next 5 days in the ICU, I thought about the word sacred and what the experience was now giving me access to.
That's all I'm gonna play. If you guys want to see that clip is on the Powerful JRE. It's Sebastian Junger. That's with a J. Scary near-death experience. It's a great episode. That whole episode is great. I've watched that a couple times, but yeah, that's what he experienced.
It's so crazy.
Almost dying. The pit, the black pit, is it's a scary one because you don't near-death experiences. A lot of similarities in a lot of the stories, but that one was a little different. I don't hear about the black pit as much.
Yeah.
That's a rough one. That's a wild one to go through.
And the presence of his father.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
Yeah.
That's a weird one too. But that tends to be like the more familiar thing.
Yeah.
Is that person coming and trying to be there with you and help you through that.
Mm-hmm.
That I've heard a few times in near-death experiences. And I've heard of them like pushing you back. You know?
Yes.
But this one was like, it was trying to comfort him. Trying to like...
Calm him down.
Yeah, calm him down kind of thing. Which is like a little different than what I'm used to. Like I remember hearing one... Because I've always been looking into stuff like this. I remember hearing one where somebody... And maybe you have the story. Maybe I've heard it I don't know. But this woman was... She was like above the hospital bed. And she was like floating up. And then her uncle... It was like her uncle, I think, was like, "You got to go back." And she's like, No. She's like, I don't want to go back. And then he like actually pushed her.
Oh,
jeez. And
jeez.
she like fell into her body and like woke up.
Jolted awake.
Yeah. And that's the thing about like a lot of people come back, quote unquote, come back, and they feel like I have more to do. And it's usually because they're like literally told that they have more to do. Yeah. They're like, you got to keep going.
It makes me want to like look up those people afterward and see
what they did
with their life.
It's very hard because you know what that's similar to, and you know me, I'm into psychedelics big. It's like psychedelic experiences. A lot of people will have profound experiences, and they know that there is an other realm of sorts. They know they've been sent messages of like doing something with themselves, and a lot of people after it's done, they don't want to act on what they've been told.
Why?
Because it's hard. It's work.
It's just scary.
It's not like they tell you to do fun stuff. It's like with my ayahuasca experience, you know, it was good things, but it was like you gotta ask your dad for, you know, your hand in marriage. And that was scary as it was saying, as I was being told that. And like that's the closest thing to death that I've experienced, right? Some people say it's very similar, same chemicals come out of your brain. So that was very scary. And they kept telling me, it's like, you gotta mend your relationships with your brothers. You have to mend your relation. And I was like, oh, this is so scary. I'm like, that's such a big thing, because I'm like, I don't know what to do. And you go back in life and it's like, now I'm slowly doing it, and I've married you, I did that, and I'm doing the things I was told to do, but it's hard. Some people don't want to confront all that. I didn't do it right away. I had that ayahuasca experience
years ago.
2019?
Yeah, something like that. 2018 maybe.
And I've only just like put into like a habit of like contacting family like every day, trying to, and I'm not even doing that well at it. But I'm trying, but it's hard. It's hard stuff when you're told that you have to do something that you've never done and that you have no idea how to go about. And it's easy to just become sober again, or, come out of that near-death experience and just be like,
okay, back to life as usual.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's like when we were just at this party, and this guy, he was telling us about when you lose your keys. How when you lose your keys, you're like, I'm going to put air tags on all my stuff because I never want to experience this again. And then as soon as you find it, you go, okay, whatever.
Yeah, good now. No problem. Yeah, you forget all about it until the next time. You're like, I should have done it.
Yeah, you forget about all that. It's just like even in my case, like I want to lose weight. I want to get in better shape. I'm in okay shape compared to the whole population, but that's not going to help if anything happens to me. That's not going to help you and my family if anything happens, right? And if like right now I know to do it and I'm going after it, but if something happened, I'd be like, I should have fucking I should have just been running every day. I should have just did it. Fuck. Mm-hmm. So it's rough. It's rough. People don't want to just do the things that they're supposed to do.
That's true. Hard. That is hard.
Yeah. Difficult. Mm-hmm. So that was the intro, the near-death experiences.
Yeah. Well, something that spurred this topic the first time for us was I saw this video on Instagram of a nurse who works in a palliative care home. So people there are passing away. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a hospice for them. Mm-hmm. And she said they had to.
So they can see you.
I'm here. She said they had to.
She's my head researcher, so I don't have her face in the mix. Can't have anything happen to her.
Nothing will happen. But yeah, she said they had to include something in the brochures that I thought was actually kind of chilling, and that it's normal for these patients to be seeing ghosts. So what happens is they look around the room or they talk to people who aren't there. Mm-hmm. And families started to see this and they would get a little bit upset or freaked out or whatever else. So they had to put it in kind of the end of life stages brochure that they would send home with these families. Mm-hmm. So it's that's a very common experience. So it's interesting to see that so many people are having this kind of seeing visions of either people or spirits at the end of their life.
It's really interesting as you say that. Our last episode, we were talking about reincarnation.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of kids. Kids do that all the time.
Yes,
where they'll
true.
see things. And it's funny that that's the end of life thing. And then a kid, that's the beginning of life thing. Yeah. Is that you're able to tune into all that going on.
But it's weird too, because I always see spooky videos on Instagram of kids looking into dark rooms with nobody in there and waving and saying hello. Yeah. And that's terrifying.
Yeah, that's
but
so bad.
Thinking about
that just gave me chills.
Exactly.
It's so bad.
Thinking about elderly people talking to the room and talking to their loved ones, that doesn't scare me as much.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it could be the same thing,
Because I guess it's better. Because the old person will say who it is. Because they know.
Maybe.
They're like, it's Jim. It's old Jim. Remember Jim? And you're just like, okay, fine. Who is Jim? It's I went to school with Jim. Or it's your Uncle Jimmy. Then you're okay with it. But the kid's just it's a big man. You're just like, oh,
yeah, a big man up in the corner.
You're oh, God. Funny enough, I always think of that whenever I record, because at one point when I was, for those who don't know, I've been in video production for a while, and I was producing a podcast before, a podcast called Hardy Gentlemen, and we interviewed this woman who was a healer / medium type of person, but she seemed like the real deal. She could tell you things about yourself without you saying anything, and without saying anything. And she didn't know my dad passed, and she didn't know anything, but she was just and the same curtains and everything. But she was whenever you record, there's someone behind you.
Oh, that's creepy.
I was like, what? She's yeah, they're 6'2" or something like that. And I was like, Jesus. But right away, because my dad had just passed, it was a year and a half or maybe like maybe less than a year. I'm not even sure. And right away, like that's what went off in my head. Like, oh, it's my dad. My dad's there. Like because she was like, they're there supporting you. She
Oh,
wasn't
that's
like
nice.
they're just there. She's like, every time you record, they're there supporting you. Like
Oh.
something, like it's very good that you're recording and doing these things. And I was like, oh shit. And it makes perfect sense because he loved audio. He loved shit like this. He loved it. Like if he could see all this shit, he'd be like, oh shit.
We should like put his records on the wall or something.
Oh, I don't need those records to fall on the ground or something. I'll freak out.
And scare you.
I'll lose my shit.
True.
They start playing.
Oh my god, no, don't even say that.
Jump out the window. Oh man, but yeah, he loved this stuff. But yeah, eventually I'll do something with the records. I want to laminate them, especially the ones that have his like record store.
Yeah, that's really
like,
cool.
Address and everything.
Yeah.
I want to do that.
Yeah.
Definitely. So let's get into the research.
The research.
Yeah, you have research.
Oh, okay, yeah. I thought you meant like research into
What?
near-death experiences, like the science behind it, because there is no science behind it.
No, there's no science.
Yeah, I got a bunch of stories.
People say that there's science of like,
Yeah.
kind of like the DMT chemicals and all that stuff, like you're releasing them and
Yeah, and the hormones and
they're
stuff.
coming out and blah blah blah, or it's just hallucinations and this and that.
Yeah.
But even that comes from like scientists isn't even backed up by anything. They're just like, you're hallucinating because they don't know. They're like, I don't know what else.
No, they don't know for sure. Exactly. And they can't like actually map what's going on in the brain.
And also, I bet they're discouraged from actually looking into it because then you become a reputable scientist looking into ghosts.
Yeah. There's
And
some
you can't do that. You can't do that.
There's a show I want to watch on Amazon that's about like a scientist proves that there's an afterlife and
Really?
people start killing themselves
Oh,
to go to
Jesus.
the afterlife. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
But it would be like a situation like that, like if you could prove something.
Yeah. How wild is that? How wild is that?
Yeah, crazy.
So crazy. That's like, there's a Black Mirror episode like that where they have
Yes.
like an afterlife that
Yeah.
they've like made technologically
Yeah.
and people are like just offing themselves so they can be there.
Mhm.
Whew. Jeez.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into it.
Well, one of the most famous stories was that of Ernest Hemingway. He had a near-death experience in the First World War. He was in the blast zone of a mortar bomb that went off, and he wrote about it, and he said, "I died then. I felt my soul or something coming right out of my body, like you'd pull a silk handkerchief out of a pocket by one corner. It flew around and then came back and went in again, and I wasn't dead anymore."
Oh, wow.
And that's what he said about it. Like his spirit was just like floating around
Floated in
and then came back to him. Yeah.
Did he get hurt?
Probably. He got hit by a mortar bomb.
Oh, yeah, true. Okay, yeah. So, well, he was probably like near it, right? He didn't actually get hit by
No, probably like the shock.
the shock of it.
Yeah.
So he just
Said
got,
in the blast zone.
he got really scared. They scared the soul out of him.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, probably like if you picture it like just when you like fall to the ground too hard, like you lose your breath. So maybe it's like a situation like that because I'm sure he got blown back.
True.
And then it's like you can't breathe
Yeah.
and you probably can't think because it's so terrifying.
Yeah. True.
So that was his little near-death experience.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hemingway?
Yeah, right? Like I never knew that before.
That's amazing.
I was like, wow.
I like hearing that about people like that. Mm-hmm. Just because it's like he went off to do great things after.
Yes, exactly. That's why I like that one too. There's also there's a woman who was a nurse her entire life, and she said she had only ever seen like 2 people truly resuscitated, like totally dead, and then were brought back. There was a teenage boy and then a middle-aged biker, and when they woke up, the both of them said the exact same thing, which was, "Why'd they do that? I was so peaceful and nothing hurt," or something along those lines. Like they were so happy.
Oh,
And then,
like 'cause they were dead. Like
yes.
something. I wonder what happened to them.
I don't know.
Because yeah, you'd be a little pissed off, right?
Yeah.
If you were like all peaceful and blissful,
Yeah, we talked about that one in the
Floating,
last one too a little bit.
Jesus-like, and then all of a sudden they suck you back into this like.
Yeah, and you're
hurting
probably
body.
in pain. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the nurse said too that when her husband died, those words were her biggest comfort, knowing that these people had experienced peace.
Yeah, the peacefulness.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's like Mark Zuckerberg. Funny enough, Mark Zuckerberg. He was talking about how he's like found God.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was talking about how like he's been reading. He's raised Jewish, as most people know by his name. Um, but he was just saying how like there's such a grounding in knowing that there's some kind of God. Like, you know, like I think it's a grounding experience, especially when you're a technological God deciding what we can all say online and stuff.
Yeah.
In your
Anything
realm.
he does, I find sinister.
Yeah.
So I'm just like waiting for the sinister side of the story to come out.
No, there's nothing. He's like, yeah, I've been reading the Bible. He's like, I have kids now. He's like,
Wow.
he's like, I've been turning to it. He's like, it helps.
I didn't even know he had kids.
Yeah.
I don't follow him very closely.
His first kid, he actually went to the Emperor of China and said, will you name I think it was a son. And the Emperor was like, no.
No.
He's like, I can't do that for you.
That's so weird.
He was like, what are you talking? No.
Huh. Why would you even want that? You just have this like white kid with a Chinese name?
Well, his wife is Chinese.
Okay.
So
All right.
He was hoping, to get that. That's a big little thing, for that kid.
Naming rights, yeah.
My father is Mark Zuckerberg. I was named by the Emperor of China.
That'd be crazy.
When he steps into
the
dictatorship bloodline of tech.
Yes, of Meta.
Yeah, he becomes a dictator of Metaverse.
Meta God.
But a lot of peace. What else?
There was a girl named Annabelle who was 4 years old, and she had a chronic digestive disorder that gave her a lot of pain, and she had to take like 10 pills a day to manage it. And she told her mom that she wanted to die and go to heaven with Jesus so the pain would go away, and she didn't want to be in pain for the rest of her life. So this was clearly like affecting her very deeply.
Yeah.
And then one day she was climbing a tree and she fell. And this is what she said about when she died after she fell.
Yeah.
She said it was really bright, and she sat on Jesus's lap and asked him if she could stay. And he said whenever the firefighters get to her, there would be absolutely nothing wrong with her, and that he wanted her to go back. And then he said he had plans for her and that she needed to stay on Earth. And then when she was rescued from the tree, she just had like scratches on her, and she no longer had that digestive disorder.
Wow. Yeah, see, and like you're saying, when you're like, I want to look back into these people's lives, right? There's no, like when it comes to God, like we're talking about Jesus, she's sitting on Jesus's lap. And I talk about this with people like Coach all the time, because I have a lot of Christian, Muslim, people of faith, deep faith, and you just never know what the plan is. So it's like, even if you look back into these people's lives, like today, and it's like, oh, they're not doing much. It's like you have no idea what it is that they're doing. If they're the person that's supposed to be here that does this, or gives birth to this kid, or ends up
everything's so tightly woven.
Like they're the person that goes to the stop sign and they stop because the guy behind them would have kept going and killed that kid. And that kid would have met the person that's the new emperor of Canada, or like who knows? Like you just have no idea what the plan is. So, yeah, that's really cool to hear.
Yeah, interesting, right?
She loses all that, all the digestive issues.
Nothing wrong with her anymore.
Jeez. That's nice to hear.
That'd be so crazy, like as her parents too. Like if there's anything that would make you believe in God, I feel like it would be something like that.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Especially when your little girl is saying she was like sitting on Jesus' lap and now she's nothing wrong with her.
Yeah. And it's like
that would shake me.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy.
And it's gone now. He said there'd be nothing wrong, and then you check and there's nothing wrong.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, jeez. What else did he tell you?
Yeah.
This is a lottery ticket.
Yeah.
X out the numbers that he told you.
Mm-hmm.
Which numbers did he give you?
It's crazy.
And we are going to be playing a clip of Kevin Smith talking about his mom's near-death experience, because apparently she died, and she reported that same type of thing.
Really?
Yeah, that peacefulness.
Do you want to do that one now?
Yeah, let's get into it. Yeah, we're already 24 minutes in. Why not? Let me go over here. This is such a deep episode, too. Like, if you ever have the chance, whoever's watching, if you ever have the chance to watch Joe Rogan and Kevin Smith, I'm actually going to do something here that I don't usually do. I can't find it. Damn, they didn't write it. But find the one with Kevin Smith where he looks thin and he's wearing a white hat. Let's switch over so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Find that episode because they get into some deep stuff. This is the one where they cry together over dead dogs. But let's get into it.
Years ago, God, it was like 10 years ago, more than that even, maybe 15 years ago at this point, had a heart attack, or a heart episode, rather. My dad died of a heart attack, but my mom was on the table and they were putting a stent into her heart, into her artery. And she was sitting there chit-chatting while they were doing the surgery. I guess she was on a local more so than anything else. And she was joking around with the doctor. She's like, "Here, gotta hurry up, doc, because I gotta pick up my mom for the," and then went out.
Whoa.
And so she died for a minute and a half, clinically fucking dead. They had to fucking try to restart the heart. So I was like, what happened? What was it? And she said, you know, she didn't describe, like, I saw the bright lights and I saw people and blah, blah, blah. She said I was floating. And I was like, floating up? She goes, no, floating on my back. It's like, okay, well, you were on your back in the hospital. Do you think that's what it was? She's like, I don't know, but this is what I remember. Every iota of responsibility I ever felt in my life was gone. She's like, I felt free. Like I felt instantly lighter. And just as I was heading in a direction, that's when, like, they pulled her back. So she'd been dead for like a minute and a half, her heart had stopped. So I was like, all right, you've been in this best of all possible worlds for, you know, fucking 60 plus years. Now you've seen a glimpse of the other side, which is better. And my mom said, the other side. And I said, what? You were there for like a minute and change. Why? And she said, I was completely fucking free. Like, that was it. I didn't know this one. I don't have to care for this one. I don't have to make sure this is taken care of. I don't have to feed the cat. She was like, it was bliss. She's like, and if that's what happens, then I look forward to that again. So when I was having my shit 3 months ago and the doctor was like, you got a 20% chance of living, I was sitting there going through all the fucking shit in my head about like, all right, well, this is it. You've spent your life with your head up your ass, you know, fucking trying to figure out who you are. Go ahead, look at your head and heart. This is it. This is the big moment. Like, what are your thoughts? What's going through? And I'm such a chicken shit in life. I assumed that I'd be like the guy who was like, I'll fucking suck your dick to stay in this life. Because I know this life and I don't know what happens afterwards and stuff. So I thought I'd be begging for help from God or something like that. But I was like, I made dogma. I'm sure Jesus would be like, go to hell, fuck you, buddy Christ my ass. So instead of doing the religious thing, I started thinking about just the journey itself. I was like, well, if the journey's ending, what are your thoughts? Just like when they held up the phone, they were like, do you want to talk to your wife? And I was like, no, of course I did. But I didn't want to because I was like, I know in my heart of hearts, if I speak to my wife right now, I'm going to be in that 20%. I'm going to die. I'm going to be in the 80%. I'm going to fucking drop dead because that's
the intensity of it.
Not even like, oh my God, it's gonna kill me. It just, the way they were so like, your wife is on the phone. Do you want to speak to her right now? Was very leading. And, you know, they're professionals and these cats deal with life and death every day. And this was my first experience with it. So what I got out of it was,
you're probably going to die.
Was what they felt.
Yeah.
And it's still, I was in this state of like, I didn't even realize I was having a heart attack. And so I remember looking at the phone and being like, if I answer it, if I talk to Jennifer, that's going to be it. I'm not going to leave this room. So I was like, I'm going to play the odds. If I don't talk to Jennifer, maybe there's some part of me that's like, look, I like talking to Jennifer. We've been together fucking 20 years. I better enjoy talking to Jennifer. Maybe if I put this phone call off, you know, then I'll get to talk to Jennifer when it's all fucking done. So I said to the dude, I was like, you know what? Tell her I'll call her back. And the guy goes, seriously? And I was like, yeah. And I saw him talking and got off the phone. I was like, what'd she say? And he goes, she was fucking pissed, dude. And I was like, well, I'm dealing with my own shit right now. So I was laying there on the table and I was like going through my life and I was more grateful than anything else. I wasn't scared anymore. That was the thing. That was the thing that I love to communicate. I spent my whole life terrified of fucking dying. And when I was as closest to it as I ever knew I was, and for all I know, I was closer someplace, but like I was cognizant and told by a professional, this is fucking risky. I was just kind of was grateful more than anything else. I was like, what a fucking journey. Like, yeah, and I'm 47 and it seems short, but fucking like, you got to admit you did more than fucking most people get to do. And maybe that's why it happened at an early age, because you weren't going to get the rest of this time and shit like that. But like, I wasn't mad. I wasn't like, fucking, why? This is unfair. I remembered like there's a issue.
Stop it there. If you want to see it, you got to watch the episode. It's a longer clip. That's just a clip. I might put it in the description. It's a 15-minute clip, but yeah, that was his mom, and then also his experience with like almost dying, because he had a heart attack, and they said like you got a 20% chance of living.
Yeah,
it's wild. It's wild. He put that manifestation to the test.
For sure. I kind of agree with him in that thinking, though.
Yeah, he's like, tell her I'll call her back.
Yeah.
Right? Because that infuses it in 3 people's minds.
Yes.
You know, like the doctor is like, he will call you back.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, he'll call me back. And he's like, I'll call her back.
Yeah.
And like now it's like 3 people. And again, not to get too religious, but it does say in religious text that like 2 or 3 people all focusing on one thing is like very strong. It's
yeah.
very, very powerful. So, yeah, that was his experience.
Yeah, they put out good energy.
Yeah. But his mom's experience was like, that is like exactly what you were just saying before with that woman who like felt peace. Like when it, like thinking of that is thinking that hearing somebody say that that's how it is very, very peaceful.
Yeah.
Very, very, very peaceful.
But it's also like, it's hard because that's not a piece that's transferable to another person. Like we can hear that all we want.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make you feel more at peace if something happens.
Yeah, no. It makes me more at peace with it happening to me, I think.
Yeah.
But like you can't help like the people who are gonna miss you, you know.
For sure.
Like there's nothing you can do about that, and unless they know about that as well. It's like.
Yeah, but there's a difference between like knowing it and also experiencing it and understanding it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Like right now, like me hearing it, that's enough. Like I've heard this enough that I know it's fine. It's all fine. There's a reason that the ancient Egyptians used to talk about your soul goes up and it goes through the Milky Way and you're tested and you're asked questions and then you go to a place. Like there's a reason all these things are talking about some after thing, and it's not just to make people feel okay so they don't go mental here on Earth. It's because there's a thing. There's a thing. Like the same way when you hear a cliche, like, oh, just be yourself. It's like you hear it so much because it's true.
Yeah, it became a cliche for a reason.
Exactly. So you're hearing all this for a reason. So there's something to it. Obviously. It actually brings me to a story. When I was at church, there was a man who his daughter was murdered, and I don't know if you got to hear them speak.
No, but you told me about it after.
Yeah, his daughter was murdered, and he got to a point where, you know, he was of faith and everything, but he got to a point where he was like really at peace with it, and he almost got like he felt joy because not because his daughter passed away, but because he understood that there's peace. Like she wasn't at peace when she was here. She was going through a lot, and he was just like, she's at peace now. And like that like helped him quite a bit. That actually helped me too when my father passed away. I was like, if he was struggling with alcoholism and, you know, bad relationships and this and that, and like now he's passed on, like good. Like he's in a better place, as they say, another cliche. Like,
true.
In a better place,
there you go.
right? Like it's a thing, you know. You get to kind of wrap it up with your kids and the people around you, and that's it.
Yeah.
You know, pass the baton, and that's that.
I liked the one when he was talking about, I guess that was the previous one, about feeling like no sense of responsibility and just being totally free.
Yeah,
that was so nice. I was trying to while I was listening to that, I was trying to
picture it.
Yes, like understand what that would feel like.
I know what it feels like for sure. I felt that before,
and I've never felt that in my life.
I felt it. I feel it when we're sitting on the couch. When we're just sitting on the couch and we're not doing anything. I feel that way all the time.
But there's always something.
No, I don't feel anything.
Oh, that's nice.
I feel great. That's why I turned to you and I said it's heaven.
Yeah,
this is heaven. This is great. You know, because it feels great.
Yeah.
And it's just like you put yourself out of that, but also. I've done a lot of psychedelics, and like they do feel like when I did DMT, like it felt even though I've never died, supposedly reincarnation. Go back to that, who knows? But it felt like, oh, this is what dying is, and this is okay. That's what it felt like.
Huh.
I was on DMT, and like the walls were doing stuff, and like I was like, this is what, like I felt. Funny enough, actually, now that I think of it, I felt like I was sinking, and I was like, this is what dying's like, for sure. But it didn't feel like I was sinking. It felt weird. It felt like something was like sinking out of me, and I was like, this is what dying feels like. I'm like almost as intense because I know I'm not gonna die, but I'm like, this is what it feels like.
Interesting.
This
like the
is
black
okay.
pit sinking into it.
Yeah, but it wasn't as sinister
as
he felt. It just, because again, he was dying, right? And I was just on DMT.
Yeah.
So it was a different feeling. So,
but even for him.
And I had a man, Darren Austin Hall, if you've ever heard of him. There's a man, funny enough, in this DMT story, I was tripping out. It was a release party for a podcast I just did. I did the DMT. Somebody had a DMT pen, allegedly. And I hit this pen like 3 times, allegedly. And he was like, you should slow down. And I'm like, nah. I'm doing this. And then I was like, I looked at him and I'm like, I think I need to be by myself. And he's like, yeah, for sure. And he has done ayahuasca 50 times. Like he went over there and just did it like 50 times, like a whole bunch. And he brought me to this theater room because we were in like a condo. And he just laid me on a couch. And then all of a sudden, this man comes into the room, long hair, looks like Jesus, long hair, beard, and he goes, I just bought this crystal harp. He's like, can I sing to you?
What?
And I'm like, yeah.
Yes.
And he, literally like heaven. And he's just like,
oh my God.
And I have these people who are like healers all around me, and I just laid there, and I was like, this is what dying would be like. This is okay. This is all right.
That's crazy.
He just like.
Meanwhile, it was just Darren.
yeah.
With his bowls.
But he's great. He's amazing.
That's funny.
Yeah, great guy. But yeah, go ahead. What
I have
else you
this
got?
other one that was really interesting. So there was a man named Pin Van Lemmel, and he had
Okay.
he had been in a deep coma, and he later told a nurse after he woke up from his coma that he recognized her.
Oh.
And he told her he saw her, and he saw where she had placed his dentures when they removed them out of his mouth to do like the resuscitation before he went into his coma. So he saw her in this like out of body experience. And when he woke up, he didn't have his dentures. So he told the nurse exactly where she had put them, like where to find them. And they were there.
Wow.
So there's no reason for him to know.
Yeah, of course he was out.
Exactly. He was out the entire time. Just woke up from a coma and he's like, my dentures are there.
Wow.
It's like, how would you know that?
That's crazy.
Yeah, right?
It's like astral projection.
Yeah. He saw everything.
It's a weird thing. It's like Doctor Strange. That's exactly how it works in Doctor Strange. They like come out, they're like in this other realm and they're like fighting and stuff like that. Yeah. It's a weird thing. It's a weird thing how all that works. I've heard many stories like that as well where people know where something is and it's just it's a combination of remote viewing. If you don't know what that is, you should check it out. Remote viewing is a cool thing. But people, it's almost like an out-of-body experience, and people can tell you. There's been cases of people saying like, okay, like I'm gonna remote view and I'm gonna go to where my friend is, and they'll like go to your friend, their friend. They'll look at his house, they'll look at him, what he's doing, and then they'll call and be like, hey, are you wearing a white shirt and this and that? And they'll be like, what the fuck? And be like, okay, yeah.
That's so crazy.
They verified that a bunch of times, and I don't know. I think there's there's so much more to people than yeah, put my tinfoil hat on. I think there's so much more to people than they want us to know, and I think all of this technology of like brain implants and stuff like that, I think that is it's almost a distraction from how we're actually supposed to evolve.
Yeah.
Like, I think we're supposed to evolve as we always have, naturally, and if our brains are supposed to grow more, or if anything's supposed to happen, or if we're supposed to have more senses and make things float and all that stuff, then that's just supposed to happen over thousands of years, hundreds of years, however long it takes. And all this other stuff that's happening with like AI and Neuralink and all this stuff, that's basically like, that's the human version of a child who goes, I want to be 21 now. I want to be an adult now.
Yeah.
And you go, you can't be an adult now. And they pout. And then they go, can I be an adult tomorrow? And you go, no, you're not going to be an adult. And they get sad. They get mad. They're like, And they want to do the grown-up thing.
Yeah.
That's what I think these technological, quote-unquote geniuses are experiencing right now. They want it all to be faster. But there's a natural way that's supposed to happen. And they're just not allowing it. That's what I think.
And it'll probably also just like stunt growth in general.
Yeah.
Because there's so many like electrical things going on in the brain that people don't fully understand. So putting some kind of device in there is going to overshadow those electrical impulses.
It's going to make them stop.
Yeah.
It's going to make them stop. The same way as if, you start doing drugs when you're 9 years old, usually like marijuana, for instance. You start doing that, marijuana gives you a blast of serotonin. You aren't done forming the things that like produce serotonin for you at such a young age. So all of a sudden now you don't produce serotonin the way you're supposed to. That happens in adults that smoke too much marijuana.
Yeah.
Like they make it so your brain goes, okay, you already have this serotonin stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to supply it because I don't want us to get too much, because we could die if we have too much. Because there's serotonin toxicity that can happen in the human brain.
It's crazy.
So I think the same thing with this electrical stuff. Other things will stop. We've talked about it in the simplest form. When people have this option to press a button and the door opens, they stop trying to open the door.
Yeah.
Just
All the
stop.
time.
Because they're just like, I want to press the button and the door opens. And if it doesn't, they go, instead of just
They don't know what
opening
to
it,
do. They press it 5 more
they
times.
press it again. They're like, what's going on?
Yeah. It's
And they
crazy.
forget.
And they look at you like you're insane.
Yeah. They're like, why isn't it open?
They look at me through the glass like,
And you just, like, it's just like, they just don't get it.
I never help.
It's weird. It's a thing with people. If you take away something, or I should say, if you add a convenience, it degrades us in some way.
Yeah.
You add a grocery store, and now none of us know how to grow food,
It's true.
right? Whereas if that wasn't a thing, we would all have to learn.
And now what we're seeing is not a lot of people know how to cook anymore
That too.
because it's too convenient to get food other places.
Uber Eats.
Everything.
You order it.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
No one knows how to make anything. People
Yeah.
are like shocked that I can cook.
Yeah.
It's like, why? Like 30, 40 years ago, nobody would be shocked that I can cook.
No, you'd have to.
Yes, it's just normal.
Yeah. Right? There'd be actually, funny enough, David Cho, he's this artist. He was on Joe Rogan. He talks about like going to Africa, and they didn't know what supermarkets were.
Yeah.
Because they were running around with him, because they're these like Bushmen type people. They just run. They just continuously run. And then they'll find like a little scoop of like dirt water, and they'll
And that's enough.
And then they'll just keep going. And they're looking at the person who I guess translates, or the guy who like brought him, and they're like, it seems like he's never caught anything in his life. And the guy's like, he hasn't. Like, he uses a supermarket. And they're like, somebody catches the food for him. They're like,
Like, what?
and they don't look at it like some royal thing. They're like I
Yeah.
don't understand. Like,
They're like, you little baby man.
yeah, even children in this tribe know how to like go about doing this, and they want to. So, yeah, we're regressing more than we think. We think it's progress, but I think in a lot of ways we're regressing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
A lot of skills lost.
yeah, a lot. Mm-hmm. Like, you were surprised I knew how to cook rice.
Yeah.
Like, of course I know how to cook rice. I'd never seen a rice pack in my life until I started hanging out with Mike and my
convenience
buddy.
foods.
I've never heard of that in my life. I was like, you just heat it up? I was like,
What?
pretty cool. But it's like, you got to know how to do these things. Mm-hmm. And soon I'm going to know how to hunt. Oh, Illuminati. Soon I'm going to know how to hunt. And you're going to have to
Ew.
take raw meat. See, and even you're like ew, but that's like a natural
Ugh.
thing. We should like
You can,
know
well,
to
no,
just pick it up.
you can clean it.
Yeah, cleaning it.
And then
but,
I'll
like,
cook it for you.
Just holding it, like you're not even comfortable holding it. You don't like holding raw chicken. But like,
I do it.
you have you, but
But
you
it's
have
slimy.
to like that should be like a nat. It shouldn't even be a thing. For
Yeah,
us,
okay,
you
fair.
know? Like I don't like walking across field. I look for like shit walking across fields. Like you shouldn't do that. You should just be like, I'm getting across the field, but I'm like looking down. Like,
True,
oh.
for your shoes.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to mess up my shoes. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. And this is why near-death experiences come in handy. They kind of reset you.
Yes.
You know, to an extent.
Go back to what you should be.
Yeah, they make you remember what's important.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else you got?
Okay, well, I have one more.
The story?
Yep.
Great.
This one's about a guy named George Ritchie. And in 1943, he died of pneumonia for 9 minutes. And he actually wrote a book about what he saw during that time.
1943.
Yep.
Cool.
And the book was called Return from Tomorrow and My Life After Dying. He remembered God or Jesus saying, "It is left to humanity which direction they shall choose. I came to this planet to show you through the life I led how to love. Without our Father, you can do nothing. Neither could I. I showed you this. You have 45 years."
Ooh. Shit.
I couldn't find the date of his death, but
You couldn't find
but
the
I
date of his death,
no,
really?
but I wish I knew,
Yeah,
because that's
45
amazing.
years.
45 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nuts. Mm-hmm. Even just to think about how long you have left.
Yeah, right? Like if everybody had a clock.
Yeah. See, like, everybody would operate different if they had the clock. Mm-hmm. You know? That's why the near-death experiences are always so impactful. Because it's like, I almost died.
It makes you think
I
about your
thought
clock.
I had all of this time, but actually, like, it's like when you're in the wilderness. And you're like, you just think like, oh, I walk the streets, I walk here, I walk there. But then all of a sudden, it's like you're in the wilderness and you see like a mountain lion. And you go, oh my God,
Yeah.
this can end. It can just kill me. It can just do that. Or it tries to. And you're like, holy Jesus. Like, this could happen at any time.
Yeah.
Like, this is not just static. I don't just get to live because I plan to.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
It's true.
It's a wild thing. It's a wild thing.
It's crazy.
You know? You just never know how much longer you have. There's actually, I wish I knew the name of it, but you can look it up online. There is a thing. It's a calendar. It's like a big calendar, like the size of this wall, and it gives you.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You actually say like, I think I'm gonna live till 90, and then
Yeah.
they send you a thing that you can check off.
Your weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that.
It's nuts.
It's crazy.
I don't
Because
know.
most people are like, well, the average person is more than halfway there.
Yeah. Right. You don't know.
And then I think there was a guy on like Joe Rogan who was talking about it or something.
Yeah, Peter Attia.
Yeah, and he said he was like, he marked off the weeks that his kids would be away in college, so that he can see exactly how much time he has with them.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And it just changes, like it changed his perspective on being with his kids.
Yeah.
Like, especially when kids are teenagers, like they're not always the nicest.
No.
But it's like when you look at that, you value the time you have with them regardless.
Yeah.
Because as soon as they leave, like kids don't usually come back after going to university.
No.
So like that's your time with them.
Yeah. That like closeness in the house.
Yes.
You're
Being
racing
able
them
to
time.
influence them.
Yeah.
You have a time, like a
Like-
very quick clock on
Like,
that.
Even the influencing, it's like you can still influence them when they're out of the house, but to just wake up and have them there
Yeah.
and have them in that stage of life.
Yeah.
Where you get to see them all the time, and they're small, and they depend on you, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, like their responsibilities are your responsibilities.
Yeah.
Like it's a very fleeting time. And Peter Attia, in that podcast, he actually said the thing that he does is when his little kids are like being like shitty and screaming and like throwing shit at the walls, he like closes his eyes and like pictures him like old and like they're adults and they're like away and then he's picturing himself old and trying to remember this time that he's in right now and how grateful that old person would be to be like around these little kids again.
Yeah.
Oh, it makes you think. Even I'm misusing my time because I keep saying I want to interview my mom. I want to sit down and get her on video talking about everything for our kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I'm misusing that. All my uncles have passed away. My dad's gone. There's only one more immediate relative who could tell me about my grandfather, who's also like named after me. His name was Coach Colin as well. And, you know, like, yeah, because you just think you have all the time.
Yeah.
And it's like, I want to do it with your parents too. And I'm just like, again, it goes back to exactly what we were talking about at the beginning. Like, you know that there's work that you should be doing, but you're just like, that's hard. I gotta go and talk and have a hard conversation. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just hard.
It's hard to get started for sure.
It's hard to just, it's so like, and that's an indication, I would say, for anybody watching. If you ever have that feeling towards anything, that's an indication of how important it is. It's not an indication of how hard it is. That's an indication of how important it is for you to go and do that. That's what it's actually showing you. That it's super
that's
important.
good.
Because all the super important things in your life are always hard. There's rarely a super important thing that you do in life that's easy.
It's true.
Very, very rare. Very, very rare. I can't even think of one.
No.
Yeah. So, yeah.
That got so deep.
That's how it goes.
Yeah.
That's how it goes on Date Night News.
Date night news.
Where are we gonna? Oh no, the new
Colin's
Mulder and
day off.
Scully. That's
Oh,
what-
yeah.
New Mulder and Scully. That's who we are.
Yeah.
Right. That's perfect.
What do you want to talk about next time?
What do I want to talk about next time? What?
Next time we do this.
Mulder? You mean? I'm Mulder.
Yeah.
You gotta call me Mulder.
Mulder.
Okay.
Is it Mulder or Mulder?
It's Mulder.
I've never
X-Files.
seen it. I don't know.
She's much younger than I. And you're Scully.
Mulder.
There you
I
go.
have to watch one of these.
Oh, you really do. It's so good. It's so good. So scary. Yeah. Next time, I don't know.
Okay, we'll have to pick
I
one
don't know.
then.
Maybe Freemasons.
Oh, that'd be a good
Maybe
one. I want to do
Operation Northwoods.
Denver Airport at some
Denver
point
Airport,
too.
yeah.
Because
I
there's like
think-
new things in the news with it.
I think one of those three. I don't know if you even took notes on Freemasons.
No, we haven't done that one yet.
That'll be a tough one because there's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff, but also like not a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but where there's not a lot of stuff, I can actually
Fill it in.
fill in a little of the blanks.
Yeah, just
'cause-
your stories alone would be a good one.
Because in my time of working so many dead-end jobs, I have met many Freemasons. Not to say that they work dead-end jobs, but I've just been around so much and talked to so many
Yes.
odd people that I've talked to a couple of 32-degree Masons and one, I think 133, and then a couple Master Masons, which is only like degree 3.
3?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like when you enter, well, I guess we'll talk about it. But when you are a Master Mason, you're at degree 3.
Okay.
An apprentice is degree 1, and then I think there's something in between, degree 2, and then you're a Master Mason, degree 3.
And then you go up from there.
And then you go up from there. By
Interesting.
Doing all sorts of things.
Okay, let's do that one next then.
Yeah, we'll talk about something. We'll figure it out. But guys, thank you so much for watching. If there's been any value, hit subscribe. Please like, share, comment. Let me know if you've had a near-death experience. Somebody actually talked about their near-death experience. Damn it, I was supposed to read that comment. Sorry about that. But if you've had a near-death experience, let us know in the comments. Let us know what it was like.
Yeah, we both read the comments from the last one, and there were quite a few things. That's why we decided to do this. So thank you for commenting.
Yeah, thank you so much. And do it again. All right? We're out.
Bye.
Bye. I love you.
Love you.
I was talking to them. Oh, I gotta stop it here. I was